Good afternoon once again, everyone, and welcome to another From Research to Reality webinar brought to you from the Smart Conference Project Management Group. Prior to today, we've had past meetings. We've had past three meetings where we've been discussing from research ethics up to possibilities around energy conservations. And our most recent webinar, which held last week Friday, worked around provision of what EV charging centers locally, even around Nigeria and Africa as a whole. So we'll be continuing in that capacity today by looking at internationalizing research for sustainable local development. And our wonderful speaker for today is Dr. Abid Hussein. Dr. Abid Hussein. So before I go on with the introduction, I'd like to ask us from our respective ends if we can share the link to others who are close to us, to our friends and other researchers who we know while we await more number. Yes. So like I was saying, who is Dr. Abid Hussein? Dr. Abid Hussein is someone who is personally known to, first off, to Dr. Emmanuel Gedengbe, who is the pioneer of the SMART conference, who is the pioneer of the SMART conference, and I was able to get our wonderful Dr. Abid to join us in. He's an associate professor in the Department of what, Civil and Environmental Engineering, Caltech University, Canada. So this is just to let us know how far and wide we are about the SMART conference, bringing us not just local knowledge, but going far and wide in ensuring wonderful audience participation. So on that note, I would like to give the stage to Prof. Abid Hussein. Yeah, thank you very much.
Um, I hope everybody can hear me well. And so I'll just quickly introduce myself. As it was mentioned that I'm an associate professor at the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at Carleton University here in Ottawa. Okay. I'm an associate professor at Carleton University in Ottawa. And I've had work experiences, implementation of projects in many parts of the world. Some of them were as a part of research collaboration. Some of them I've implemented while I was working with different organizations before joining Carleton. And some of these organizations have included organizations such as United Nations, or while I was a professor in Singapore, or I was working as a research engineer at different NGOs in India, etc. And because this presentation is more about internationalizing research, I've picked up some of those projects that I'll be highlighting, where the research and fundamental science was done at a different institute, but the practical application in terms of its pilot scale application, advancing the technology more from a lab scale to a pilot scale, involved active collaboration with the groups, with industry, from a different country, from a different geographical location. And those projects, to me, or in general, have really highlighted that how to solve global issues of today, whether it's clean water, whether it's energy, whether it's water scarcity, etc., it requires more of a global solution. And when I say global solution, it requires people from diverse backgrounds, of different knowledge, to get together to provide a sort of a wholesome solution. We cannot, and we're not living in silos anymore. So that is what I wish to highlight in this particular presentation. So, so if I begin, uh, so my first slide itself, if you look at it, it pretty much highlights four or five things that I'll be talking about in the presentation. That is global challenges, which requires global solutions. By global solution, I mean to say it requires international collaboration. You may have one expertise, people, institutions from another country, from other geographical location may have another expertise, and you can work together to come up or implement some of the solutions that you are working on, collaborating with them to implement those solutions at a different geographical location. Of course, it also leads to more of research and its innovation, people from diverse backgrounds, diverse expertise, diverse perspective. And that leads to generation of more of a much more sustainable solution than what you can probably create working with your own group or working in your own institution. Diverse opinions, diverse expertise is extremely important. And as it happens in many of the universities don't have a sort of a wholesome solution. You might be very good in fundamental science, but you may be lacking a very solid engineering team. Whereas there might be some other institutions which have an excellent engineering team, but they may not be very strong with the fundamental science. And in that case, the two of the institutions can collaborate to take your research really from a lab scale to more of a pilot scale or large scale application. So, what does international research mean? It's not necessarily about conducting research in different countries. International research is not about conducting research in multiple countries. It's more about integrating global expertise, partnerships, and innovations to solve societal challenges, right? Now, today's sustainable challenges are unlike what we have faced earlier. Climate change, scarcity, something that is very close to my research group, active management of organic waste, resource depletion, sustainable cities, etc. Right? Sustainable cities, and as the conference goes, smart conferences, smart technologies. And none of these problems recognize national boundaries. These transcend international and national boundaries. And although every country experiences these challenges differently, the underlying science in most of the cases is often the same, right? So, however, the solutions cannot simply be copied from one country to another. You cannot have a technology that is tailored, for example, because we are based in Ottawa, for Canadian climate, for Canadian regulations. So you cannot necessarily copy solutions from one country and directly apply it to another country because every community will have its own regulations, its own climate, its own infrastructure, economics, and cultural priorities. Therefore, it does become important that successful solutions must always be adapted to local conditions, right? And to me, it's what internationalizing research really means. It's not about conducting research in multiple countries. It's about bringing together global expertise, international partnerships, diverse perspectives, and translating them into solutions that improve your own communities and communities in other parts of the world. Now, but obviously, I mean, irrespective of whatever I say, it every sense sounds good. But in reality, there are a lot of challenges and barriers that you face in international collaboration and implementation of your technology on a very large scale. Now, as I talk about some of the projects that I am going to in the next few slides, I will try to point out that how the fundamental science was done in one country where it was applied in another country. And here it shows some of the active projects that we have currently have or currently that we are working on to translate to see that how the lab scale work that we did in Canada was applied in many other parts of the world. So my journey, obviously, as a grad student, as a researcher, started in Canada at McGill University, and a lot of the fundamental science and engineering that I learned through international collaboration were applied in. I'm sorry, my screen is were applied in India, was applied in Maldives, was applied and enhanced in Singapore. We are currently working with our German partners. We are now also implementing some of the technologies that we have developed for our Arctic communities in Canada. I'll show you a picture where we are running a pilot scale project to in collaboration with the local communities there and many other institutions to provide sustainable energy for the Arctic communities in Canada. And the fundamental science for it was done in many other parts of the world, and it required collaboration and contribution of many of the research groups. So now, just to give one example, long time ago, when I say long time ago, about a couple of years ago, we did a fundamental discovery. That fundamental discovery was that you could have a set of biocatalysts that can use carbon monoxide, right? I mean, carbon monoxide, which is always generally associated, have a negative connotation to it, can be used as an electron donor for generation of electricity in a fuel cell. Now, how that really happened.
I'm so sorry for the disruption. I'll look into it personally. Copy invited can send it to me. I'm so sorry for the disruption. I'll look into it immediately.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm not really sure what happened. So um, I'll continue. This is Iman. Can everybody hear me well? I'm not really sure why I logged out.
Yeah, we
Yes,
can
sir.
hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll start from where there was a bit of an issue, technical issue. So what I was trying to explain is how a fundamental discovery um, that was made in Canada was ultimately applied as a solution in another country. In this case, Maldives, India, and now we are using the same discovery to apply to our to our Arctic communities, which is then supposed to be shared which is then supposed to be shared with our other partners to implement the same solution in Greenland, which are have the similar geographic and environmental conditions. And that fundamental discovery that I was talking about was more of the ability to use carbon monoxide gas as a way of producing power in fuel cells. Now, this is some of the very fundamental research. And at this point of time, it was more about contribution to science. When this research was carrying out that you can actually use carbon monoxide to generate power, we didn't really think of how it will be applied on a large scale or whether there would actually be a demand for this technology on a large scale. It was more about, okay, a contribution to knowledge, scientific discovery. But what really happened is through one of the seminars, similar to this one, and one of the conferences, we happened to meet someone from energy and environmental ministry from the country of Maldives. And there, it was more about discussions of how they face major challenges with their waste management. And this is one, and then we traveled to Maldives. This is the actual one of my pictures taken by me at a waste management facility in Maldives. Now, the smoke that you see, it has a lot of carbon monoxide. So of course, then the link came in that fundamental discovery that we have done in terms of the ability of certain catalysts to use carbon monoxide as a electricity, to use as a gas as a production of power, electricity, can that be applied for Maldives? The reason why it became interesting for Maldives is because it was in more of a new scientific discovery. Having a very large scale system would have taken 15 to 20 years for different testing, building the reactors, engineering the reactors. But Maldives had a very unique challenge. They wanted something that was small. They wanted something that was compact. They had a waste management issue. Still, it's a smaller country, so they do not generate as much waste as a country like Canada. So their needs were very different. And in that case, our fundamental discovery of using carbon monoxide as generation of power made complete sense. You can quickly, swiftly translate your lab discovery to a pilot scale project in Maldives, where when you gasify your waste, it produces carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Hydrogen is a clean energy, and the carbon monoxide could be used as a electron donor for production of power. So we swiftly went ahead. We designed all these reactors. We were able to collaborate with the different agencies in Maldives. They had their unique expertise in terms of what the society wants, what the people want, what exactly kind of unique solution the people in Maldives wanted. And we quickly did a lot of work, and we were able to apply some of those solutions, which involved some of that fundamental discovery to Maldives. Now, coming out of this particular collaboration with Maldives was also using the same technology, adapting it from their feedback, channelizing the same technology to solve another problem. For example, the problem of fish waste in Maldives. And some of the pictures that you're looking at, where we implemented hundreds of digesters in the outer atolls of Maldives to provide a sustainable, clean solution. So again, this project kind of highlighted that how a fundamental discovery was channelized for various different applications that led to collaboration, their perspective, which led to enhancement of another technology that we were working at, and we were able to swiftly apply it for remote communities in Maldives. Now, if we were to wait to apply that technology in the country of the fundamental discovery, for in this case in Canada, it would have taken us a many more years. But for doing this field testing, we were able to learn many of the challenges that we would face, and they became extremely handy that now that we are applying the principles of the same technology for, I'll go back to the previous slide, same technology for our Arctic communities. So now the fundamental discoveries that we made years ago is being used to provide a sort of a pilot scale waste to energy solutions for our Arctic communities in Canada for their cold climatic conditions. And this was only made possible, that you see, is from all the experience that we garnered while working with agencies in Maldives and working agencies with Germany and extra, which I will talk about. Now, to go back to the slides, whatever experiences that we learned, the global engineering team, societal impact, environmental impact, it became very handy to use the same expertise for applying the same pilot scale projects in something like India. So when we worked with the different agencies in India, the different engineering team that we had, the engineering challenges that we learned, we were able to provide a much more compact and small scale solution for management of waste at a particular facility in India. And this is one of the pictures where the food waste and the waste that is coming from gasification of waste was used for generation of renewable power, all of which would have been impossible with instead if you haven't collaborated with different agencies like I showed earlier. Now, another project that came about while we were doing all of it was a different design of solid state fermenters. This was, when it was initially designed, it was for a very different purpose. But when we started collaborating, when I started working with different agencies in Singapore, we realized that that technology could be adapted for a very different purpose in Singapore. Instead of having a bioreactor design that would produce different biochemicals and biofuels, the same reactor could be modified to provide a very compact solution for generation of power in Singapore. And for Singapore, compactness of a technology was extremely important because the country has very limited land. Land is at a premium, and the footprint of a technology is more important than anything else. So the same reactor that we developed for production of biochemicals and biofuels. The same reactor design was adapted and modified for a different purpose, for producing a gaseous energy carrier instead of producing liquid chemicals. And of course, in the process of it, it required research collaboration. It required collaboration with different agencies in Singapore. And this is one of the pictures that I'm just showing you, that how one reactor design was adopted for another reactor design for a very different purpose and applied at a pilot scale in another country. Now we are working with our partners in Germany, and as you can see, with active collaboration with a different startup culture in that country, we are able to transcend from a 2-liter system to 25-liter system, and now testing at a 250-liter system within a span of 2 years. And again, this would have not been possible without the support that we have got in terms of the funding agency, in terms of international expertise and engineering team, with partnering from institutions in Germany. So it shows us the different lessons that we have learned over the last 15 years is that international collaboration gives you diverse perspectives and leads to new ideas and better solutions. It gives you access to complementary expertise, facilities, and technologies. It leads to faster innovation and co-development of technologies. The example that I showed you, whether it was in Germany or with collaboration with Singapore, it also enhances your institutional expertise, knowledge expands, build capacities. It'll give you new ideas. It'll lead to formation of way more long-term collaboration and long-term research experiences. However, these are not without challenges. Different countries have different national priorities and the funding mechanisms are different. So you have to work with your partners to see how you can actually collaborate. They have different research infrastructure. You might be strong in one, they might be strong in the other. So how do you ensure the technology is implemented? Of course, you focus on the positives rather than the negatives. You have to be careful with the communication, culture, and cultural sensitivity that, of course, that you have to build over a period of time, but that gives you way more new expertise and way more new perspectives. And you are able to measure your impact. Some of the pictures that I showed you, these go beyond your publications and other traditional way of communication. I'm talking in terms of your research. Unfortunately, many ways of though it's changing, but in academia, it has always been about research impact has unfortunately been measured only in terms of publication, and now you have it as Edge Index and things like that. But these meaningful contributions are beyond your traditional metrics of traditional metrics of judging how active a researcher is. That is just your publication. So it helps you move beyond that. And of course, it gives you an excellent training platform for your students, for your HQPs, with student exchanges and etc. Now, before I end, because through all these projects, I'm very interested in collaborating more with researchers that might be attending this particular talk. So I'm very open to collaborate. If you want to collaborate with Carleton universities, there are obviously research funding available that we can try for. Obviously, it's not easy. It's easy said than done, but I'll be very happy to collaborate if you have any ideas to see if there is any bilateral funding that you can apply for. Of course, student and faculty mobility, graduate co-supervision, student exchanges, visiting scholars. We have an excellent research infrastructure. If what I'm talking about, waste to energy, scientific discoveries in terms of biological processes of interest to you, joint research grants, joint capacity building. So I'll stop here. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you. And the purpose of my talk was basically to show that how in the past 10, 15 years, we have collaborated with different funding agencies from different parts of the world and has helped us move technology outside just the lab. And hopefully through this talk, I'll be able to get to collaborate more closely with those who are attending this particular talk. All right, so I'll stop here. Thank you, and I'll be happy to take any.
All right. All right, sir. Thank you very, very, very much for such a wonderful brief talk. So, for those of us that are just joining, I'd like to do a proper justice to introducing Prof. Hussein properly. There was a disruption on my end that led into this, into speeding through things, right? I'm sure we've all listened to him and we've all gotten a wealth of understanding, even from the insight that he has shared from his participation, from his collaboration. We all have been blown away. We all have been blown away in all honesty, most especially myself. So if you grant me a few minutes for me to properly introduce Prof. Abid Hussein. So who is Prof. Abid Hussein, right? Like I said, is a associate professor in environmental engineering at Carleton University, and his research interests, it focuses on development of innovative technologies for biology and recovery of value-added products from different waste streams, including municipal solid waste, agro waste, and wastewater. So in this regard, his research program is centered on the following key themes. First being microbial electrochemical technologies, second, anaerobic digestion, and thirdly, fermentation of waste gases to high-value chemicals. So he has also extensively studied the application of electromagnetic radiation for recovery of bioactive compounds from food processing waste. Dr. Ozzy has over 3 years of industrial and project management experience, as they have shared with us wonderfully. He spearheaded waste to energy and climate change mitigation projects at United Nations, Asian Development Bank, and the Energy and Resource Institute. At National Research Council of Canada, he led governmental initiative on decentralized approaches for solid waste management and water treatment for remote communities. Dr. Ozin is always looking for opportunities to collaborate and contribute to areas of mutual interest, just like he has shared with us. So personally, I have a few questions for him, but before I go on to ask my questions, I'd like to ask anyone amongst us who have questions for him. I believe at this point we also have at least one or two questions. Thank you. So you can just signify with a raise of hand, and then you'll be given the go ahead to ask.
Okay, thank you very much, the moderators. And I just want to add a little bit to the introduction that moderator has given to our speaker for today, Professor Abir Hussein. uh, is not new to what we do at the University of Lagos. So he has been active with me in the collaboration. So all the talks about the efforts to do research in Maldives, in India, in Singapore, in Germany, not just a talk show. He has also extended that to University of Lagos. It's just that it's just developing, So that's why we have this platform that is being hosted by the research group that floats this smart research conference and the live webinar. And I would also want to just mention also that when he talks about the fact that internationalization is about bringing experts, together to solve local problems. We have the problems that we've been discussing for some times now, for the past 3 years in the University of Lagos. We have our Deputy Vice Chancellor, if I'm right, because I see him also part of the participant today, which we appreciate, to able to actually speak if you will indulge me putting him on the spot, to actually attest to University of Lagos open, policy, encouraging the internationalizations. And then he has actually also been familiar with what we do. Luckily, he's also very much familiar with the biomass research group that Abid is really collaborating with us on, and he has actually attended some of the meetings, research seminars we've had in the past few years. So all these ideas about research fundings, collaboration, the opportunity for students, we have test run that. It's just that it has not fully come to fruition in terms of the last student that we're trying to bring in to go to Carleton actually got some funding also from Carleton, and but unfortunately he couldn't get a visa. So that was what halted that plan. So, but that's part of the challenges I think Abid has leveraged on that. All these fundings are all available, but you need to be very persistent and consistent, with that. So I will yield the floor to Professor Matthew Rishola Ilori. Is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Academic of University of Lagos. If I will be pleased to really allow him, if he pleased to speak one or two words, you might want to really say something. So you are welcome. Good afternoon, sir. Is Professor Ilori there? Okay, maybe he's not on the floor because I see the participant named Matthew Olusoji. That's maybe step out of the office, or something. So, but we are very much pleased to have you attend this webinar, and I believe that as we have the opportunity, we will be getting across to really see how what we do at the University of Lagos is actually open to what Habib is trying to do, and we'll see how we would be able to give an open hand. The problem that we really want to solve, to be very specific, is demonstrated by the activities that we have at the Zero Emission Vehicle Research facility at the University of Lagos. And then I'm pleased to say that Abid is already on the research collaboration for some of those articles that we are going to present also at the Smart Research Conference in October. And so we'll see how that goes. And anyone that still have more to do in terms of collaboration. He has thrown is wide open and is willing to really collaborate with anyone. So back to you, moderator, and if Professor Lori comes on board at any time, you can allow him to speak. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All
So
right. So,
if I could just add a few things to what Professor Emmanuel mentioned. So yes, we have been collaborating with Professor Emmanuel and his other colleagues for past couple of years, and as he rightly mentioned, we were able to secure some funding for a student from University of Lagos to come in and do 6 months, 8 months of research work at Carleton, but it could not materialize because of the issues related to COVID and backlogs and things like that. But that is to say that I'm quite open and I would love to collaborate with other research groups at University of Lagos, joint publications, joint development of research proposals. I'm quite open to it. Students who would like to come learn, because it's not necessarily about them coming and learning. I mean, you learn from them. You take graduate classes where you have students from various different countries, and one is always surprised with how the new ideas that they come up with, the new solutions that they suggest, is amazing. Not something that this no institution has all the knowledge. It's all about the contribution from different people who come in from the institutions. So I would be very happy and pleased, and I would love to collaborate with researchers and students from University of Lagos in whatever capacity possible. And so if you want to come, or if there's some other ideas that you want to have, you want to do some joint work together, either virtually, or if you're able to get funding to support for the student to come here and some of our students to go there, I'm open to it. And please email me, and I'll be happy to talk to you. I'll be happy to exchange ideas with you. And Carlton, specifically over the last 2, 3 years, has become very supportive of these ideas. Some of the collaboration that I mentioned with the Germany, Carlton made a lot of substantial, provided a lot of substantial resources for it. So there is this thinking, not only at Carleton, I think in the country in general, that you have to collaborate with other people to bring things forward. So again, without repeating myself, if there's anything that you think we would can do together, please email me. If it's not an area of my expertise, I'll try to connect you with people who are the best to collaborate with you for that particular topic. But let's please do collaborate. I think that at some point that becomes the most enriching part of being a researcher at a university, that you get to collaborate with people from all over the world in very diverse areas, and which helps you. I mean, the process, you grow as a person, and you grow technically. All right. So I'll I'll stop with that. Thank you.
all right. So, thank you very, very much, sir. So, I thought there was someone in the among the participants that was raising his or her hand. That's the person of Shola Ayola. So, if you'd kindly ask your question now.
There was
Okay.
a question of regarding my email. I'll just type it here.
All right, sir.
Yeah, and there is, because I see there's a lot of interest, generally a lot of interest from students and young researchers. Obviously, you have Professor Emmanuel to provide you a bit of guidance, but just to repeat, there are what is called as MyTax international collaboration, which gives us some funding for students from different parts of the world to come into to Canada. Um, so my tax is one. There's also one program which is called as NSERC Alliance that have a very small funding, enough for 2, 3 months of student exchange. So if that is open, you have to check for the deadlines. If that is open, I'll be happy to support your application, exchange ideas. So I see there's one, somebody has a question.
Yes, all right.
Okay.
So, Shola
Good
Ayola,
afternoon.
you can go. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Ogedengwe and others.
Yes, good
Hello?
afternoon, sir.
Yeah, actually, Dr. Ogedengwe has really said what I wanted to say. He had addressed some of the things I needed to say in the area of, you know, in the area of collaboration. But the area I wanted to be clear is that if I heard Dr. Ogedengwe properly, I think he says that the University of Lagos is trying to, you know, the University of Lagos is into producing a low emission of vehicles or something like that. But the area I want to say, the area I want to make my input is the area of electricity. And in Lagos, we have heaps of waste in Lagos, and presently, there is even a problem of this waste management who are unable to, to meet up with the task. Is there a way we can use the collaboration to generate electricity as in, I mean, as it was done in Maldives? So that is my question.
All
Hello?
right. So, Prof,
Did
did
you
you get the
hear me?
question?
Yes, you can hear you about that. Is the I think if I might just come in, I don't know if Professor Hussein want to say something here. Let me just leverage on his area of expertise, which mentioned very clearly, from the different project that he has presented, it has been done. Of course, when you're talking about conversion of biomass, it's one of waste. Any organic materials is a waste, and we have that like part of the project he presented. You can see something like I think in Maldives that use food waste. So presently at the University of Lagos, as Right mentioned, what I'm referring to is the zero emission vehicle research facility. That facility has, as it is now, a system that combines anaerobic digestion with hydrothermal carbonization technology. So that integration is a new development, and that so is presently under the level of research data analysis. So the construction is completed by last year, and so that's exactly what we're talking about. That presently is in collaboration with some of the activities that we do there. And when we have energy generated from that waste now, we what we want to test is the socio-economic adaptation of that quantity and quality of energy to solving a societal problem. The focus problem presently before us is the adoption of electric vehicles within the campus, and we can extend that, of course, to the state. Where we deal with how these will be able to help reduce the load on the grid. So by that extension, I believe that that's actually addressed the problem you put in place, but it has to come by intentionally bringing experts together, continue to work, and then we're measuring our produce, the product, and then the scale of the product, and we are moving gradually, to a level where we have more people. And then when we have the pilot that's been demonstrated at the University of Lagos now, it means that we can extend it to different locations. where we have huge biomass potentials, across the state or across the country. So that's exactly, what we are doing. So I hope I've been able to answer your questions. And if Professor Uze want to add one or two things more, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much for that question. So whether it was the project with Maldives or the project with Singapore, or a project for Arctic communities or with Germany, all of those involved organic waste. In particular of that organic waste in many of the projects, it's necessarily food waste. And the idea in that case was how do you generate energy faster with a much smaller footprint? So what was mentioned by Emmanuel HTC with 80, that is an excellent way forward. But for those projects, we were doing an innovative pre-fermentation of the organic waste and then feeding it to a enhanced anaerobic process, which could generate the energy at a much faster rate in terms of degradation of the waste, in terms of energy production. So I would be very happy to collaborate with any other research group. These are very complementary processes, integrated processes. So if that is of interest to anyone, into either from a research perspective or in terms of applied perspective, absolutely, I'll be very happy to collaborate on it. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir Ayola, does that answer does justice to your question?
I appreciate you for that. But I want to get something clear. Our primary focus on electric vehicle powered by this by zero emission energy is our primary focus. Is it on that? Not on
Dr.
electricity,
Gide.
not on
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much. So the quick answer is yes, because the aim and the objective of the project. If you remember, the project was sponsored by TED Fund, and although it was completed last year, what was proposed to them is to use the energy that is generated off grid now to help the solving the problem of how electric vehicles will be able to operate in Nigeria without depending on the national grid. And we know that if we want to quickly deploy electric vehicles and help the carbon footprint in Nigeria without collapsing the grid. This project is going to be very, very much vital. So, but if we solve the problem of taking off the electricity that electric vehicles will need to run away from the grid, we believe that it has solved the problem of the energy problem in Nigeria. And if we have more electricity being generated using this technology, of course, it can be feedback into the grid, So, but for the moment, the primary applications of this solution is being diverted to take off the demand of electric vehicles, from the national grid. I hope I've been able to answer the question.
yes, sir. Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, thank you very
All
much.
right.
So I think
Thank you, sir.
moderator, you can.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. So while we proceed, the person of Sir Kende Olaiton also raised up his hand. So I'll give you the floor, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. Kind of light. I'm a young researcher, an early career researcher at Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Nigeria. Yeah. So although I'm not in University of Lagos, but I did my master's at University of Lagos, and Dr. Gerenbe was my supervisor, and yet he has continuously monitored my progress from then till now. Yeah, and that is why I'm also part of the SMART group. Yeah. I listened. I was opportune to listen to the uh, talk this afternoon, and it was a very interesting one. But yet, it's a very interesting one. It's something I really have that really seems I would like. I have the interest, and I want to know: is this opportunity is it only open for university researchers in University of Lagos, or yeah? Someone like me that is in a Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, can I also have an opportunity to also be part of this? So that is my question.
I think no. I mean, of course, I mean, because Emmanuel and I have been talking and collaborating and trying to extend our uh, sort of research and trying to collaborate more frequently. Therefore, it may seem like as if the collaboration is only open to University of Lagos, but no, I mean the idea, like I said, it's more about collaborating with the different people from different institutions in different parts of the world. So if there's any way that um, I could or we could collaborate with you, at least at Carlton, uh, please, I'll be happy to talk to you and see how we can move things forward. But if you're referring to the electric vehicle project, I think Professor Emmanuel will be in a much better position to talk about it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Professor Uze. Thank you, Professor Uze. Yes, being a school of agriculture, Abeokuta, school of agriculture specifically, yes, I would be more interested in the food waste. Yeah, you understand? Because that is the area engineering comes in a school of agriculture, how we can convert food waste to usable energy.
That's right. Yes, I mean I agree that food waste is it's a global problem, and therefore many of the projects, the pictures that I showed you, did involve food waste. Whether it's for a gaseous energy carrier or you're trying to look more towards a liquid energy carrier. It'll be very interesting to sort of talk and collaborate and to see how we can come up with a suitable collaboration. So I would request if you could just email me with my email address here, and I'll get back to you, and then we can talk and see how we can get people together so that we can collaborate more. But I'm very open to it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will send you I'll send you mail, and we can pick up discussion from there.
Absolutely. Thank you. I look forward to it.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you
Okay.
very much, Kennedy.
Okay. Sorry, moderator. In addition to what Kendi has put forward, the response by Professor Hussein is very, very much clear. He is open, and that so anyone, even if you are not at the University of Lagos, you can reach out, to him, and that would be very, very much fine. So, and also if the fact that presently we have established a platform at the University of Lagos vis-a-vis the ongoing project that we're just focusing on now, and then also University of Lagos have an existing memorandum of understanding with the Carleton University. That is because you're talking about research, collaboration. There's a level which you collaborate on individual basis. If you write him directly, that's just based on individual arrangement, so that is very much okay. So, but if you are talking about scope of a project that is domiciled say, for example, University of Abeokuta, of Agriculture, Abeokuta, now that's an institutional project. So the route to that has to be that the university also have to have the similar kind of arrangement with Carleton University, like University of Lagos has, which can be, sometimes very much Herculean if you don't really have, the gout, and go through all the very route. But that still, as it may, I want to say that what we are doing at University of Lagos is also very much open. You don't have to be a student of University of Lagos or staff of University of Lagos before you can collaborate with the Zero Emission Research Vehicle facility. So you can keep in touch with me, to really see how that can be. So what we are presently doing now to really extend what we are doing to all the various researchers across the globe, suggest the fact that anyone from anywhere, including industries, can actually collaborate with us, but the main understanding when you choose that very path is to know that whatever you want to discuss with us has to be something that will directly align with what we are doing at the University of Lagos. So so the path is very, very much wide and various options. But the good news is that what we are talking about here is open. You can choose any route you choose to follow. And I believe Professor Hussein will be open to respond to that. So thank you very much.
All right.
Thank
All
you very
right.
much.
So, all right. So, Sakende, I believe that has done justice to your question. So, before I throw my question, I'd like to ask again, do we have any other question amongst the audience? We'll be allowing just one more question before I ask my question in particular. All right. So I believe there's no more question. So I'm going to ask my question now. My question majorly being a student of the University of Lagos and presently a research intern at the Smart, working with NHX, who is a pioneer of the Smart conference alongside the University of Lagos. I'd like to know from a student perspective, firstly, Prof. Hussein, I know it has been a wonderful journey climbing from an undergrad up to this level, right? I'd like to know what were the things that you saw in yourself that fueled your passion towards research? Because as a student, you are when they call, oh, we can come to Calton via the smart conference and everything. But what are the things we have to have within us even before we can decide on taking the research route? That's first thing. That's my first question. Then my second question is around your experiences. Now, internationalizing research, as you've mentioned, can be hectic. So I'd like you to give us a practical example of where you faced a major barrier and how you were able to cope through, and at the end of the day, you're able to profile a solution even from your research. So if you get my question, sir.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. I mean, it's not only true for young researchers like yourself, but it's also true for people like us who have a bit more experience. Is whenever that you're trying to get some new opportunities, how do you break the barrier? As a young researcher, I wanted to work on a lot of projects. Um, I used to apply for many positions internationally, which were of interest to me. And in 90 or 95% of the cases, I never used to hear back to the application. And I realized that instead of spending time applying online, the best way to go forward was talk to people. In those days, we didn't really have LinkedIn. The only way to contact people, if not personally, was through email or even cold calls. And there's one example that I always give to every young researcher is that when I was finishing my PhD, I wanted to work with this Nobel Prize winner. His name was because he passed away a few years ago. His name was Dr. R.K. Pachori. He was the head of United Nations IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the agency of UN that comes up with all these reports as how the climate is changing and etc., that the ice caps are melting. So that's the main agency. And he was the head of that agency, the president of that agency for 10 years. And under his leadership, IPCC got the Nobel Peace Prize. So I always wanted to work with Dr. R.K. Pachauri. But I was just, I would say, a young a PhD graduate. And I used to always think that, even if I email me, would he respond? What will be the best way to talk to him? And you wouldn't believe what one day I was just talking to somebody and said, how the best way to approach, how do I get to work with them? Because I really wanted to work with them. And I was talking to someone and they said, why don't you call him? And you can understand how intimidating it can be that when you are just a fresh PhD graduate trying to call a person who's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. But I actually did that. I remember that I just got his number of the institute where he was the director general, the Energy and Resources Institute, and later I went on to work with that agency and with Dr. R.K. Pachauri. Is I just called him, his secretary picked up, and I said that I would really like to speak to Dr. R.K. Pachauri. I'm so and so, and if you could please connect me to him. The secretary connected, and for first few seconds, I was surprised that I was actually speaking to Dr. R.K. Pachauri. I was just a fresh PhD graduate with not a lot of experience. I spoke to him and I said, sir, I would like to come and speak to you. He said, please send me an email. I sent him an email. 3 weeks, I got no reply. I thought, okay, he gets a lot of emails. Maybe he skipped mine, or my profile is not of interest to him. I followed up with my email, and one fine morning, in those days, we didn't have Zoom, we had Skype. And one fine morning, I get an email from his secretary saying Dr. R.K. Pachauri would like to have a talk with you. And on Skype, I was talking to this Nobel Peace Prize winner. And next month, I was working with him for 9 months in India. So what I'm trying to say is, it's very important that you reach out. Don't hesitate in reaching out. If you really want to work on a project, you want to work with the different people, reach out to him in best way possible. These days it's even easier. You can contact people on LinkedIn and social media. Be respectful, but I've also seen from students who will just send you one email, they don't get a response, and they feel, okay, fine, I shouldn't follow up. Please follow up, give a couple of weeks, again follow up. All these people that you're trying to collaborate, they're busy people. They might have skipped your email, they might have skipped your message. After 2, 3 weeks, please follow up with them, and you'll be surprised that how people will make time with you. There was another person that I wanted to work with. He was the principal scientist at National Research Council of Canada, the premier research institute, federal research institute in Canada. And how I emailed this principal scientist that I would like to collaborate on this particular project again as a graduate student. And he actually, at the age he was, must be already at the 70 at that point of time, he actually made effort to come and meet me at a coffee shop and speak to me about my future. I had no contact with him before that. So that's the best way to do it. If you want to reach out, if you want to work with people, reach out to them. Don't hesitate, be respectful, but follow up with them. Tell them why you are interested. Even if you don't have expertise in their field, but you want to enter that field, explain to them that how you can contribute. These people who are at that particular position, they do understand that not necessarily you will have the technical know-how, but if the fact that you have taken the effort to contact them, that shows that you are eager to learn. So that's would be my suggestion. You want to work with people, reach out to them, follow up with them, and you'll be surprised how much of help that you'll get from them.
All right, that's actually a good response. Well, that's just still my first question. So to the second question, which I believe maybe you didn't call, is around research route, right, around internationalizing research. So I want to ask you if there was a situation or a point in time whereby you were trying to provide solution, say internationalize a particular solution, and then you faced a particular barrier. So in that type of scenario, what was the route you took? What were the step you took?
Um, um, See, in internationalizing research, the barrier you always face is the barrier, some of the barriers that we spoke about. It's more about the funding being available. Is it the right time? And many of the times, it can take couple of years. I mean, for the example that I showed you, the Arctic project or the German collaboration, it doesn't happen like this. It took 3 years to get to the point that 3 years, three applications, rejection of three applications, talking to the federal agency for the Arctic, for the Germany for 3 different years before we actually got the funding for it. We had even tried recently for a funding which many of your professors will be aware of is Euro Horizon. We tried first year, rejected, got good feedback, revised the proposal, again rejected because this time the reviewer was different. He or she had a different take on the proposal, again got a good feedback, and again used those feedbacks to apply for another accelerator grant, which turned out successful. So what I'm trying to say is it doesn't happen overnight. The barrier is that you'll have to be patient, you'll have to work with funding agencies, you'll have to be persistent, and it's very natural that it takes 2 to 3 years for you to establish that relationship and get those funding. Once you have learned from those experience, the follow-up funding and the follow-up collaboration is very fast. The initial barrier is always there.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much for that understanding which you've shared with myself and lots of us on this platform, even others who are presently streaming us on YouTube, I believe. Before I bring the meeting to an end, I'm going to run through the summary of everything that was done today. I'm going to talk about smart conference in a bit. But before I do that, I'd like to ask Prof. Emmanuel Gedengbe if there's anything you'd like to address, anything from your end, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, the moderator. I really appreciate what you guys are doing at the NIGS Research Group as the Smart Project Management Committee. You've been putting this event on a weekly basis, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing. So, in addition to the information the participant has had so far, every week we always announce what we expect next week. So again, today I want to say that next week we'll be having another speaker from Norway, and he'll be speaking from the topic along these the ongoing series of from research to reality, topic titled Energy Transition in Africa, opportunities and challenges. This is someone that has had, of course, experience working with African countries. So if we are very much excited from the presentation of Professor Hussein, learning from experience from across Europe, India, Singapore, and Germany. So, and of course, Canada here. So you going to listen next week to someone that have actually gone to different countries in Africa and have extended his research from Norway to these countries. So just keep note of the topic, and come prepared next week and invite others. So that's what I have for now. And I yield the floor again back to the moderator to round up this wonderful meeting.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, and thank you for the wonderful work in always ensuring we have wonderful speaker, even as evidenced in the person of Prof. Abid Hussein. So, firstly, let me quickly run through a summary of everything we discussed today. Prof. Abid Hussein has been able to walk us through the route of internationalizing research, right? where let us know one thing which is very, very important is that a solution in one's man land might not be feasible in another's man land. There would always be need for modification. There will always be need for readjustment, right? For example, his research in Canada found application in Maldives, found application in India, found application in Singapore. This was practical walkthrough of what internationalizing research is all about. So it let us know that our research can move from what paperwork into reality, what solution, and that's the beauty of it. And even to our wonderful Nigerian audience, I know there's always the question around our electricity problem. So one thing we should notice from here is if we cannot just arrive at a full-blown solution. It takes scaling. It takes what scaling, it takes process. Today, in University of Lagos, we are looking at the transportation section and how to utilize clean energy around that area. That's a section. So as time goes on, as more researchers arises, will keep on profiling solution, and that's where smart conference comes in, right? That's what the sustainable mobility of Africa resources and technology. Like the name pronounces, we are looking for researchers who can take this problem and sit down, do the thinking, and suggest their solution. And we at Smart, we try to push this solution to energy investors and energy pioneers. So that's what Smart is all about. Once again, I'd like to say a wonderful thank you to Professor for giving us his time and being present here. Thank you to the Smart Management Group, and thank you to Prof. Ogenigbe most especially. Thank you to the University of Lagos, and thank you to all of our wonderful participants. Um, it's a blissful Friday here on our end, and I'm sure it's the same thing for every one of us. Do have a great rest of our day. God bless us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.